Water has always been the biggest problem for us when we go camping off the grid. We've done other videos in relation to water. We won't put non-potable water in our water tanks because Australian rivers and non-potable water sources are too likely for us to carry Giardia, which is pretty bad juju if you get it. So we don't put that in our water tanks. When we're free camping, if we can and we've got an external water source, we'll use our portable Coleman hot water service, and we'll either put it in the bathroom here. We can put the hose through the window, run it outside, or sit it here on the toilet and use it in the shower, or we can just use it outside, either. And that's how we extend our water. We've got 2 water tanks on board, 2 82-litre water tanks. We carry 4 jerrys plus a 30-litre water container, so we've got a fair amount of water. But the pump in the van is pumping at about 10 litres per minute. This is the shower rose that came with the van. It's okay, does the job, but turning this down on the tap, the water barely dribbles out of it. It's next to useless. I came across an ad on, I think it was on Facebook, in relation to a shower rose called a Eco Camel. This is it here. I bought it. It was about $50. And what it proposes, or what it says that it does, is it sucks air into these 2 little ports here as it's running, and it basically supposedly bulks up the water that's coming out of the shower rose and inflates it, for want of a better term. So same flow of water will feel like there's more water. It feels like more pressure. It feels like more water. That's the claim. So I tested it in the shower. Yes, it did. It did feel like there was more water coming out of it. I was a little bit concerned that sucking in air, that it might actually reduce the temperature of the water, and it probably does to a very, very minor extent, and certainly not something that I would be too worried about. This thing here is quite lightweight. It doesn't feel super strong, although it certainly hasn't broken. It doesn't feel as heavy and as robust as this thing here, but that might not mean anything. It certainly hasn't broken. It's certainly still working, and we've been using it in a van. The good thing with this particular shower rose is even without this airport thing that sucks the air in and supposedly creates a feeling of more water, the actual pattern that comes out of this shower rose is pretty good. The pattern that comes out of this shower rose is by far the best pattern for low water volume out of any shower rose that I've tested. I've also got a Julka that I use in my factory, and as a shower and just as a general hot water service, and that was the greatest shower rose that I'd had prior to this one. And but now that I've got this one is far better. Barb reckons, she says that this one feels like more water, and so I'll roll with that. I think it does. She thinks it does to a larger extent than what I do, but it certainly does do what it says it does. But it's the pattern that comes out of here at low pressure that is the thing that impresses me the most. It ain't cheap, 50 or 60 bucks. There's a website, Eco Camel Australia. When I bought mine, which was some time ago, Eco Camel Australia is actually Eco Camel in England. So it came out from England. It took some time to get it. Did arrive, but I was less than impressed that the website didn't actually explain that these things aren't located in Australia. Had they have done that, the time frame for the freight probably wouldn't have been such a huge issue. But thinking that it was actually coming locally and it turns out that it's not, is a little bit, to me, is a bit of a shitty thing. But anyway, beside that, it's pretty good. Now, I've tested this in our shower against the other one, and with the shower rose is sitting in the shower on about that angle, which is typically what the other one would sit at. It'd be much the same. And at the lowest amount of pressure with the tap turned down, with the top nozzles actually producing spray rather than dribble, which is kind of my yardstick. This thing's using 3.5 litres per minute. And it's enough to have a shower. It's enough to stand under it. It's enough to get wet. And that's what we generally do anyway. Wet ourselves down, turn it off, and soap up, and then rinse off. We do that anyway. Even when we're on mains pressure, we're in such a habit of doing it when we're free camping that we do it all the time. Stupidly, possibly, but anyway, we do it anyway. So with this particular one, you can, so for 3.5 minutes, sorry, 3.5 litres per minute. And so we timed it with both myself and Barb in the shower. About between a minute and a minute and a half, you can have a reasonable shower. So 30 seconds, and that's including the amount of time that it takes to heat the water up, to find the right spot on the tap, for the hot water to be at the right temperature. So that's 30 seconds, and then allowing anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute to rinse off. So a maximum of 5 litres per shower. So if you're going off the grid for not an extended period of time, we will now use the shower in the van rather than the Coleman, which we cart around anyway, but we'll leave that packed up. We're pretty conservative with our water anyway, so we measure what we're using and we keep a pretty close eye on it. But we can work out, so we're looking at 10 litres per day in the shower, and we're carrying just in the water tanks and maybe a couple of jerry cans. We're up over the 200 litre mark as it is. So 10 litres a day for a shower is virtually nothing. So yeah, it does work. It does do what it says it does. It does feel like there's more water, but more importantly, the actual pattern is a better pattern of water. It feels more like a shower when it's at low volume. The Coleman kind of doesn't. The Coleman feels a little bit, that's 4 litres a minute, but the Coleman feels like it's just gravity. So you kind of got to hover it over yourself, because it feels like it's just dropping out under gravity. This actually feels a little bit more like it's pressurized at 3.5 litres, which is a little bit less than what the Coleman is. So yeah, we're pretty happy with it. I'm not sure whether I'd say that it's worth 50 or 60 bucks, but it's one of those things. It's the only thing like this that does what it says that it does. Holding your finger over that air hole, it still works. It still does it's still a pretty good pattern. Yeah, anyway, go for that. It's good. Well, this is our standard shower rose on full. I don't know whether you can actually see that. And then going down to, see, it starts to dribble. It struggles a bit. It's no good. Low pressure on our standard shower rose is absolutely useless. So anyway, I'll stick the Eco Camel on and then get a bit of a comparison. All right, for the Eco Camel, this is it on our full pump pressure. So fairly good pattern. If we drop that back down to just as the top needles are actually flowing, which is about there, it's still a really good pattern, and it's about 3.5 litres per minute, and you can have a shower under that, no problem at all. It's a great pattern. Much better pattern than the other one, and that's now sucking. So if we turn it back on full, that's now sucking air, and if we cover up those holes, it does make some difference. But yeah, it definitely does feel different. As Barb says, it does feel like there's more water in it, and but for me, it's that pattern at low volume is pretty much, I've not found anything else that'll do it. So for us, it's great, and I'd have to say give it the thumbs up. And even for 50 or 60 bucks, there's nothing else on the market. So yeah, it's either that or use the camp shower all the time. So for us, it's pretty good.